how much is enough? Do we want to see more Kendrick beefs, like more Kendrick jabs, or is it just time for Kendrick to just hang it up, move on to something else? Like, do we really want to hear more?
I, my thing with Kendrick beef, right, is that, and this is what I believe, and I'm gonna take my licks for whatever. I don't think Kendrick is like the world's greatest rapper. I just don't. I especially don't think that he's the world, and that's not to say that Kendrick isn't good. I think Kendrick is amazing. I think Kendrick
Okay.
is
All right.
is
Better backtrack that shit.
I will put him without question in the top 15 of best rappers of all time. But in terms of battle rap, I think battle rap is different than how you make songs and how you craft stuff and your messaging and all that kind of stuff. I think there are a lot of rappers that in that style, the traditional style of battle rap, are better rappers than Kendrick. I think Kendrick has crafted his public persona in such a way that you don't have a lot of ammunition on him. And I said that when we talked about
Yeah.
like J. Cole with like 7 Minute Drill, right? I think 7 Minute
Mm.
Drill was great. I think that J. Cole unloaded his clip with 7 Minute Drill and he had nothing else. So if Kendrick responded and Kendrick won a round versus 7 Minute Drill, what else was J. Cole gonna say?
That's real. I mean, I didn't even.
He has fucking nothing else. That was it.
He didn't have much to say on 7 minutes.
Exactly.
Like,
Exactly.
He
does.
he like J. Cole literally didn't even believe the shit that he was saying on that song. Like, you
Yeah.
could tell when you was listening to it.
Yeah. So it's like when you have a person that's as clean as Kendrick is relative to the rest of the game, right? Like there is no. I would be. I can't say there is no, because again, I don't fucking know these people, but
Mhm.
I would be very surprised if there were any real skeletons in Kendrick's closet, because if there were, Drake probably would have found those out and exposed them, right? Like, Drake is extremely powerful in the music industry, extremely well connected. He was the undisputed king of rap music before this happened. So if Drake didn't have any real dirt on them, who else has? So I just don't think that it could be much for anybody to say against Kendrick, right? Like, it's gonna be the best that can happen is a bunch of 7 minute drills. Like that,
Yeah.
like that's the best we could do. So I think Kendrick can probably retire knowing that, like,
Yeah, I mean, like, what are you gonna say against me? Like, he would have to 8 Mile himself, and that would be unnecessary just to even make it like somewhat challenging. But you never know, because someone like a Pusha T, when he went up against Drake, and a lot of people thought that Drake was gonna bury Pusha T, but Pusha T had dirt on Drake that no one knew about, being that he was hiding a child, or he had
yeah,
his son, and fucked up
exactly.
a whole release, millions of dollars, insane. But I would say, me personally, I'm kind of, I don't really think Kendrick even like needs to go at Drake anymore. Honestly, like, at this point, it just seems like bullying.
Yeah,
Like, it's like, bro, you won, you got it.
he's already dead.
Yeah,
Please stop. He's already
yeah,
dead. You're shooting a dead body.
yeah. Because one thing I've been thinking about Kendrick for a while, and I'm a huge Kendrick fan. Blah blah blah. I honestly don't think a lot of people would like him as much as they love him if they actually knew him as a person.
I don't know,
Does that
man.
make sense?
I think he's a dick, and I think that
Yeah,
kind of
right.
just goes. I think that kind of goes with the persona. I think I fuck with him
Yeah,
a little bit more.
yeah, maybe. I think he might be. I think he might be a little bit of a dick.
Yeah,
But I think when people hear him like talking what he represents, and like what he tries to, like, the agenda that he pushes in the culture, like pushing the culture forward, love that. But like, when you actually get behind like the person, I don't know if he's not your savior. Like, he literally tells you, "I am not your savior. J. Cole is not your savior." Da da da. But people are like, "Oh my god, he's so phenomenal. I just love him even more now."
I
So
mean, I kind of relate to motherfuckers who are dicks, because in various facets of my life, I would 100% say I am. So I don't know. So maybe I'm biased.
I can see that a little bit. Yeah, I mean, but that's fair. That's fair. But I think just in terms of how you be a dick and how much you're a dick, like, you can only be a dick for so long. Pun intended, not intended. I don't know. Because if you just continue to just beat a dead horse and just like kick a nigga while they're down, even if people don't like the nigga that you're kicking, it's still like, all right, bro. What kind of nigga is you? It's like, all right, bro, move, we can move along. And sometimes I'm thinking like, for what it was, the Grammys. Oh my God, Kendrick wore a Canadian tuxedo. Was that really a jab at Drake?
I kind of think it was,
Yeah.
but maybe it wasn't. Maybe we're reading too much into it.
Yeah, and that's the thing that happened with him a lot. If I
True.
was him, I would really just start like fucking with people and just like putting this like dumbass like subliminals in videos and like music that don't make no sense and just seeing like how far people will run with it.
And while I would say I lean more towards your line of thinking, there are a lot of people that think that like once you're beefing in a high profile beef, like that's kind of a defining moment for you. So you kind of have to keep that same energy to some extent. So I remember when Jay-Z and Nas first like officially squashed the beef, right? Where they appeared on stage together, they shook hands, and they was like, "This is done. Like we're moving on."
Yeah.
I don't think that's ever gonna happen with Drake and Kendrick, because I think
No.
even though, like, again, and I know we've talked about it quite a bit, like the Jay-Z and Nas beef got extremely personal as well.
That's
like
real.
extremely personal. So for them to squash the beef, I think it's in the same realm of if Kendrick and Drake like squash the beef. But when they did it, like a lot of people were like, man, look at these motherfuckers like pussying out, like they fucking like, man, we thought they was finna fucking get at it. I remember Jim Jones especially did like an interview segment where he was like, man, we thought they was finna fucking rap. We thought they was finna fucking get after it. And now these motherfuckers like soft ass niggas, old ass niggas like squashing the beef. And some of that is through the lens of that happened around the time of the beef that Dipset had with Jay-Z, in Rockefeller. So I think some of that energy kind of came through, but like that was the ethos of the time. Like people were very much like, this is some sucker shit, that they squashed the beef. So I think is you damned if you do, damned if you don't, once you enter into that situation.
That's
But I agree with you.
Yeah, I guess like that's also my problem with humanity and people. It's like other people will drive you to jump off a cliff for no reason, just because it's not happening to them, just because it's their entertainment. But like this is like your real life. Like
Yeah.
you like, so piece it up, like, a little beef, little squabble, a little verbal squabble. Hell, maybe like a little small little altercation, but I'm never mad at like grown men piecing shit up, because that's ultimately like what we should be doing. We should be like being responsible, having adult conversations, being able to come to the table and be civilized and communicate with one another instead of just perpetually beefing just for other motherfuckers' entertainment. And I feel like that's just such a very like childish and juvenile response in like those situations. Like, and J. Cole, for instance, I respected the hell out of J. Cole for respectfully like bowing out, and then like the reason why behind it was like, honestly, like, this is not some shit that I want to do. Honestly, I really have no beef with Kendrick.
Yeah.
None. I can't even think of nothing bad to say about the nigga, even though I can rap my ass off. I can come up with a diss. I can rap and diss a nigga, but this just is not it. And I really respected that, because there's not a lot of grown men or a lot of people that will say, hey, you know what? That wasn't right. I take that back. I take that on the chin. If you want to come for me, that is like really what, I don't want to say a man looks like, but that is just really what a solid human being looks like. And when you get shamed for that, that's kind of a wild thing to me.
And I do think that, and I'll always be plugging, make sure you guys come through for the live. But we talked a little bit about, Kendrick looking at this per him, right? Like, we don't have to speculate on this. He's explicitly stated this, viewing a lot of this stuff as sport. I do think that you can do sport in a way that's not 100% adversarial, right? So speaking of Jay-Z and Nas, I remember like when they started doing tracks together post the squashing the beef, and how you would hear people like just compare their verses, right? Like it was clearly a competition. They're on the same, like BBC is a good example, right? I 100% think, and Jay-Z's my favorite rapper, by the way. I think Nas watched the fuck out of Jay-Z on BBC. Like Nas gave a classic verse and Jay-Z was just saying some shit, and I was like, oh, whatever. I'm a huge Eminem fan as well, and I remember like listening to say like Jay-Z and them on Renegade, exactly. Like, so like you can joust and you can have this kind of stuff without it being adversarial, and I think that maybe that's something that maybe Kendrick should look into in the future, like maybe making it so like it doesn't have to be as awkward if you truly view it as a sport, right? If you truly view it as a sport, and that's not just lip service, like rap with these niggas, and you know, let people talk about who had the best verse.
Yeah, and I mean, I would actually love to see that. I think that would actually kind of like level the playing field just a little bit more. I'm not saying that Kendrick versus Drake and on a song. I think Kendrick would watch Drake on a song.
Absolutely,
Honestly, like,
absolutely,
you know, hell, Poetic Justice. They already did a song together. Yeah,
yeah. Kendrick holds his, when you say Kendrick like rap, and it's again not adversarial, like
hmm
he holds his own against people that I think are like amazing rappers. Like Nostalgia is
yeah. I
like the
was
example that comes
thinking the same
to
thing.
mind. Like Push's verse in that song is amazing. It's an amazing verse, and Kendrick's verse is better
Yeah,
in my
I,
in my opinion.
and I actually
Like,
had to get people to break that shit down. I didn't even realize the rhyme scheme, like what he was saying, like the tens.
whew,
Like,
bro.
yeah, I had no idea. And I think that actually might have been what started this whole Kendrick breakdown thing too. One last Kendrick thing before we move on to something else. Super Bowl, we can do like a quick little lightning round. Did you watch it?
I did. I did.
hmm
I actually made a point to watch it after we had that discussion on here. I thought it was fine. Like, I know like a lot of people were like, "Oh, it wasn't big enough." I thought it was fine.
Yeah. Yeah, like okay, so you know what? Because I hyped it up. I ain't gonna lie. I think I was a little wrong with hyping it up to the level that I did in terms of visually what I was expecting. And I think I was thinking like maybe like Beyonce level, like kind of like theatrics or
Mm-hmm.
stage work. And I'm not saying that stage work was bad at all. But I do remember like the first 4 minutes, I was like, it's cool. It's cool. It's all right. But it's not like wowing me.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say though, Samuel L. Jackson as Uncle Sam loved it. And like he killed it. Samuel L. Jackson just absolutely killed it.
Yes, plus one. Love the addition of Samuel L. Jackson, and that
Mhm.
the ad libs in between like the performances, like I think added a lot of depth to it
Yeah.
if you really listen to it.
Yeah.
But general overall, I think the camera work was really good. I think
Phenomenal.
Kendrick does a really good job, and everybody calls this out, but I want to again plus one it. I think he does a really good job with breath control when he performs.
Yeah.
Like, I think he's a very good live rap performer, and to be able to perform rap in a big venue in a way as well as he does, I think is a skill, and I think that's underrated. So I looked at the performance. Did I think it was? And we talked about it before. My high water mark for a performance, for an iconic Super Bowl performance, is still always going to be Prince. Like, the motherfucker just like performing Purple Rain,
That
and
wasn't even
like,
fair. God was on his side, bro.
like, so that's my high watermark. So I don't think it crosses that, but like, I definitely
Yeah,
watched it. And I was like, this is a good performance.
yeah. It was
Like,
a.
I don't know what people was hating on. I definitely
Well,
don't think it's something that you could have hated on.
that's the thing, though. Because, well, for one, like I think, of course, like it was a lot of Drake fans, and then
Fair enough. Yeah.
white people, because like Kendrick was, of course,
Also fair. Yeah.
hopped on that stage and was super pro black, and the message behind it, which honestly, when I was first watching it, I wasn't able to fully digest it. And hell, even now, I'm still like learning like new things behind like the symbolism, even though some of it might be a little cap because like people overanalyze certain things. But
Mm-hmm.
even just looking at it from beyond the surface level, from things that have kind of been confirmed, the whole aspect of this game of life that we're
Mm-hmm.
all playing, like everybody is playing this game, whether you know you're playing it or not, you're in this game, and we are in a dangerous time. And then of course I also like just the black representation, and then being black in America, the Samuel L. Jackson, you brought your culture cheat code, scorekeeper, deduct one life.
Mm-hmm.
And like Josh Johnson broke it down like phenomenally. If y'all like
I
fuck with Josh,
love Josh
right,
Johnson.
right, man,
I
that
love
motherfucker
Josh Johnson, by
good.
the way.
That nigga
Like,
is good.
not subtle plug by either of us, apparently. No, like,
Yeah, that motherfucker's good. Like, did you see his Super Bowl breakdown?
I haven't watched it yet, but like, I'm honestly trying to see if I can figure out how to get to see him live, because I know he's on tour.
That,
Um,
it seemed like he stay on tour. Like, he seemed like he stay on the road.
yeah,
And
the Flowers tour or whatever is the
mhm.
current one. So like, I'm trying to see if I can see him live, just because I want to support him for real, because I love what he's doing. But
Hmm.
I haven't. But to your point, just to bring home, no, I haven't seen the Kendrick one yet.
Yeah, because honestly, he broke it. I think he did the from what I've seen, like he did like a really good job of breaking it down while staying realistic and tying it in while tying it all in. And if I were to try to like break it down, I would honestly just be trying to do a poor rendition of what he said. But so I would just highly advise, like, hey, go check that shit out, because the and yeah, like I really did fuck with it. Like, well, not even just like Josh Johnson's thing, but the Super Bowl performance and like what that
Mm-hmm.
represents. Like when you actually kind of like do peel back some layers, and also like the hate, because it's ironic because you hating on the shit, but like he's talking about you. Like you're baked into the hate, my nigga. Like, so, say la vie.
I don't know, man. We have fun here at Waving the Red Flag, right? Sometimes we say some things that are a little wacky, a little zany.
Yeah.
Um,
A little
have you
untrue.
ever, sometimes untrue, sometimes half truths,
Yeah.
sometimes whole lies.
Downright false.
Downright false. Have you ever wanted to have a conversation with like-minded individuals, maybe even us,
Ooh.
about those kind of comments? Definitely make sure that you are becoming members, both from a YouTube perspective and on Patreon, so that you can have those conversations in our Discord. Right?
Come join the community, man. Chop it up with the good folks waving the red flag. It's always active in there. It's always a good time. Hell, even dating, relationship, rate your dating profile, all that shit. All sorts of categories that you can talk about stuff. One last thing, full length episodes. If you do sign up for the community, you should have access to like those full length episodes. And we have heard you. I have heard you. Alvin has heard you. Eddie has heard you. I get it. You know what I'm saying? So join the community. Definitely have access to those full length episodes. I do know for a fact, if you are listening well right now, it's going to be last week. But hell, the episode from last week, the last thing episode, that full length thing is already up there. So you should have access to that if you have already joined that community.
It's a red flag.